Writing a truly great argument is a lot like being an architect. It's not just about having an opinion, it's about actually constructing something solid, something that can really stand up to scrutiny. So let's grab our hard hats and start drawing up the plans.
It can feel a little intimidating, right? Kind of like someone just handed you a big pile of bricks and said, "Go on, build a house." But here's the thing. With the right blueprint, you can turn that pile of information and ideas into something incredibly impressive and, most importantly, persuasive. And that's exactly what we're going to give you today, that blueprint.
So here's our plan for the build. First, we'll get into what an argument actually is. Then, we'll lay the foundation with a killer thesis. After that, we'll put up the framework, stress test the whole thing, and finally add those finishing touches that make a real impact.
Okay, so first things first. What are we really building here? Because an argumentative essay isn't just you ranting or sharing a belief you feel strongly about. No, it's a very specific, carefully constructed piece of writing.
The folks over at Purdue OWL put it perfectly. They say it's a genre that requires you to be a detective, really. You have to investigate, collect evidence, evaluate that evidence, and then establish your position. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about having the best supported one.
And this is a super common point of confusion we gotta clear up. An argumentative essay is not the same thing as an expository essay. The big difference here is the goal. An expository essay just wants to explain something, but an argumentative essay, it wants to persuade you. That's why it usually requires a lot more research and is often a much bigger project.
All right, every single great structure needs a rock-solid foundation. And in an argument, that foundation is your thesis statement. Seriously, if you get this part right, everything you build on top of it is going to be so much stronger and more stable.
So where do you even find a great thesis? Well, the Harvard College Writing Center has this fantastic tip. Don't start with a topic, start with a point of tension. Look for a puzzle, an inconsistency, a real dilemma in whatever you're studying. That's your construction site. Once you've found that juicy point of tension, your next move is to turn it into a question. But not just any question. It needs to be an analytical one, a how or a why. These are the kinds of questions that don't have a simple yes or no answer. They force you to dig deeper and actually analyze something.
And here's the magic part. The answer that you come up with for that big how or why question, boom, that is your thesis. That's the central claim, the big idea that your entire essay is now going to be dedicated to proving.
Let's look at a real example to see the difference. The statement on the left is just descriptive. It's basically just reporting. Sandel says this, and he also says that. See? There's nothing to argue with there. But look at the one on the right. It's analytical. It takes a stand. It says, yeah, Sandel makes a good point here, but this other part of his belief is less convincing. Now that is a foundation you can build on. It's a claim that needs to be proved. Okay, our foundation is poured, it's solid. Now it's time to actually erect the framework of the building. And that framework, it's made up of your body paragraphs. These are the load-bearing walls that hold up your thesis and give your whole argument its shape. Each and every one of those paragraphs needs 3 key things. First up, a clear topic sentence. That's your main idea. Second, you need your evidential support, your facts, your quotes, your data. And third, and this is so important, you need the warrant. The warrant is your explanation. It's you telling the reader how that evidence proves your point. It's the intellectual glue holding it all together. So what kind of building materials can you use for that evidential support? Well, you've got a whole toolbox to pull from. You can use factual data, logical reasoning, hard statistics, or even a really powerful anecdote. The key, as Purdue OWL points out, is to pick the right material for the job and make sure it's solid. And please, don't forget the mortar. A building with no mortar is just a messy pile of bricks, right? Well, in your essay, transitions are that mortar. They connect your paragraphs, creating a smooth, logical flow that guides your reader from one idea to the next. Without them, the whole structure can just fall apart. You know, a truly strong building is one that can handle pressure from any direction. Wind, rain, you name it. That's why the next step is to actually stress test your argument by engaging with the other side. And this isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of incredible confidence in your own position. This move is called a counter-argument. As the University of Nevada, Reno explains it, this is where you acknowledge a different perspective, and then you show why your argument is still stronger or more reasonable. It proves to your reader that you're not afraid of a challenge and that you've thought about the issue from all angles. Here's a perfect example of how it works. The argument starts by fairly stating the opposing view. Some people think animal testing is justifiable.
Then you see that all-important pivot word, however. It then refutes that point by bringing in new evidence about unnecessary pain and the existence of alternatives. See how that works? The argument just got way stronger.
So, the big takeaway here is this. Don't be afraid of viewpoints that challenge you. A well-handled counterargument doesn't tear your essay down. It actually shows you've done your homework and considered the whole picture, which in the end makes your own case that much more convincing. Okay, our main structure is built, it's been stress-tested, and it is solid. Now it's time for the finishing touches. I'm talking about the introduction and the conclusion. This is the facade of your building. It's what gives it that curb appeal and leaves a lasting impression on anyone who sees it.
A really powerful introduction needs to do 3 jobs. First, it has to orient your reader and give them some context. Second, and maybe most importantly, it has to explain what's at stake. You have to answer the question, why should I even care about this? And finally, it has to present your clear, arguable thesis, the foundation of the whole project.
And your conclusion. That's your final flourish. It's not the place to just summarize and repeat everything you just said. No, you need to synthesize. Show how all the pieces of your argument fit together to create a bigger picture. Revisit your thesis, remind the reader why this all matters, and I can't stress this enough, whatever you do not introduce any new information or new ideas at the end.
And this is like the final inspection. A grading rubric like this shows you exactly how every single element we've talked about, from that thesis foundation to the transitions and the counterargument, all come together. A great grade, a great argument, it's not about one single thing. It's about the quality of the entire construction, from the ground up.
So there you have it, the architect's blueprint for building an unshakable argument. It's a structure built not just with facts, but with logic, with careful planning, and with real intellectual honesty. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?